What's going on, everybody? Vince Goodrum here. It is Wednesday afternoon. Just getting a little bit of work done, and I just recently heard that Derek Lunsford is going to compete in the Open, and I think that is an awesome idea, really. And I'm going to explain why because I was kind of sleeping behind the wheel with the Mr. Olympia coming up in a couple of months. But now we got some competition here. Now, as everyone knows, Derek Lunsford is the reigning and defending 212 Mr. Olympia. So now that he's decided to go out in the open, we can expect better. We're going to expect a more solid condition than before because whenever you do the 212, it's just as it says, you have to come in at 212 and under. And Derek Lunsford has to work in order to get down to that 212 mark, much like any other 212 athlete. So now that he's in the open division, he's free to, open up the floodgates here. So just expect a much larger Derek Lunsford there. And I think he's going to be really solid. And considering the competition he has, the big Rami competing is up in the air. Nick Walker, I've already said before, I don't think he's going to take the Mr. Olympia. I don't think he's going to come in shape. I think he's going to place out of the top 5. Brandon Curry is still going to be competition and everything like that. But here we have Derek Lunsford, okay? And Derek Lunsford has that awesome V-taper and a vacuum pose. You know what I mean? Now, wouldn't it be great to see a Mr. Olympia that can actually throw a vacuum pose? When's the last time we've actually had that? Better yet, when's the last time we've had a Mr. Olympia that didn't weigh over 250 pounds? The last athlete that I know about that wasn't over 250 pounds was Samir Bannout, and stuff. And then we had Chris Dickerson. It's time that, we got back to actual conditioning and actual presence on stage there, And this happens a lot at these NPC shows. Whenever it comes to the overall win itself there, they usually go with the biggest athlete, despite the fact that, that the smaller athlete has better conditioning and stuff like that. As Sean Ray says, which would you rather have, a 2-carat or 1-carat diamond there, And that's one of the biggest examples when Sean Ray competed on the Olympia stage against Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates won with that busted arm. That's just kind of ridiculous. And the reason why they gave it to Dorian Yates is because he was a larger athlete. It's time the judges actually started rewarding actual presence and conditioning and actual symmetry, okay? Instead of just being the largest athlete, the biggest athlete, you know what I mean? Because at this point in time, I think it's ruining professional bodybuilding. Now, granted, we have the classic physique and everything like that, but there's no reason that the open men's bodybuilding can't have some sort of conditioning, And I know it's kind of, I remember Frank Zane saying that, one of the mandatory poses that should be done as a vacuum pose, which is literally impossible to do at this state, given the fact that a lot of pro athletes are using growth hormone and insulin. By the way, stay away from insulin if you're going to be competing. Don't use that crap anyway. But in any event, even though I don't think a vacuum pose is required, I on the Mr. Olympia stage, I would like to see some symmetry for once, and a good stage presence. And one good thing about Derek Lunsford, when he gets on stage, he's going to have an excellent stage presence. I wouldn't try to purposely put extra muscle on. At least that's if I was a coach for Derek Lunsford. I wouldn't try to just put extra muscle on him intentionally. I would just have him open up the floodgates and come in the same condition. And where he lands is where he's going to land, Just the same diet, just no limitations here. And I think if Derek Lunsford does that, he can be Mr. Olympia, open. And of course, naturally, we'll actually have also the first 212 Mr. Olympia and an open bodybuilding Mr. Olympia. A person that's actually held two titles here, two completely different titles. Now, it ain't the same as Deion Sanders almost winning the, going into the him being in the World Series and being in the Super Bowl, of course, although he didn't get his, his team didn't win the World Series. But you see my point, right? I think it actually makes the Mr. Olympia more exciting. I think some people are going to count out Derek Lunsford because of size, but I say no. Look where Hadi Chupon placed, Just saying. So I'm really excited to see Derek Lunsford. I'm looking forward to see how he looks on stage there. So couple months, we're going to find out there. That's all I got to say about this. Take care.